This video is going to explain categories a little bit better than the standard video that we've done for categories. First of all, our entire system is based on categories, product categories, to allow the waiters to enter the categories of products as they're making sales to their customers based on how a menu looks. So let's take a look real quick at a menu of a restaurant, for instance. So every restaurant has menus kind of like this, where you have these category headliners, appetizers, and then under appetizers you have the products that go with that category. Salads, here is the salads. In this restaurant, they have a category called Grand Central Station subs, which are sub sandwiches. You have that category. You've got the category of the wraps. You've got the category of the gigantic calzones and strombolis, for example. Your restaurant's going to have something similar to this. Basically, you're going to open up your menu, and your menu is going to have the what we call the category headlines, and then you're going to put the products under those categories. So the POS system uses the same type of logic. When you go here to your categories, and we're gonna actually show them in the front of the house. Okay, so we're going to show you what we're talking about. So here, okay, we're going to go ahead and update our data. Okay, here, when you look at your categories, you see here beverages, by the slice, entrees, New York pizzas, Chicago pizzas, calzones and breads. So they're using the same categories that you'll find on the menu. This is not the same menu as the example I showed you, but just imagine your restaurant. You have a chicken dishes, and then underneath that is the chicken. If it's like an Italian restaurant, you'd have the pastas. So here you'd have the word pasta. When you press on pasta, up comes the pastas. This is the logic of how the point of sale system understands the category, so that when the waitress comes over, she knows what's on your menu. You have a category called chicken. She presses the category called chicken, and all the chicken dishes appear. And that's what these are. Now, all of the categories are yellow buttons. So I jump from category to category. The ones that are not yellow are that are green means that there's a subset of categories below there. So like for beer and wine, if I press that, I have my domestic beers and my imported beers. Okay, that's what we call a nested category. We also have the name child. So this is a child category. Whenever you have products in a child category, they'll appear below a green button. If I press main, that'll bring me back up, and there's my green button again. You have to be careful, because when you're defining products into the products table, it's going to ask you for a category. When a category is a parent category, such as here, beer and wine, you do not want to select this category for any product, because it's not going to bring up anything here in these buttons, because it knows that it is a parent category and it has child items below it. So never put that category into a product. Like for instance, if I go here to products and I wanted to create a new product, just as an example, and first if I go ahead and try to show you what's in the beer and wine category, it's not even going to allow it to be here because it knows that it is a parent category, so you're not going to see that here. Okay, so if I press new and I say, look, I want to define a new beer, so I would say it's a beverage, and then here in the category code, I would not select beer and wine. Obviously, it's not even there for me to select because it knows it's a parent category. You're not going to see it. So I'm going to select the domestic beer, and I'm going to put Budweiser. Okay, and $10 for my Budweiser, and I'm going to save it. And now, when I position the product, okay, when I go to my product positioning in that beer category, see, everything is done by categories. I'm going to select domestic beers, and I'm going to move the Budweiser to the first available button, and I'm going to save it. But notice how it didn't allow me to select beer and wine, because it knows it's a parent category. And that's very, very important. Now, if you have something accidentally placed as a child category in a parent category, you can remove it by going here to edit the categories. That'll come up, and then I can go to beer and wine, and it will show me my child categories, my nested categories. So if I made a mistake, like for instance, I'm going to go ahead and put wines of Italy, and I'm going to go ahead and nest wines of Italy into the beer and wine category. Okay, and now if I go to beer and wines again, you will see that there are three child categories there. And Wines of Italy will now appear in the front of the house underneath that green button. But if I made a mistake, I can highlight Wines of Italy, I can right click on it, and I can say unnest it, take it away. Okay, if I say yes, it brings it back to the parent category level, and there it is again. So that's how I can go ahead and move parent categories into child categories and back from child categories over to parent categories. Why would I need to do that? Maybe I accidentally unclicked show always and then now it's being clocked and it's disappearing. So that might be a situation of why I might have to do this, to unnest it. Because once it's nested, if I went ahead and saved this and I nested it, okay, and I would nest it back into beer and wine, okay, you won't be able to see it up here anymore. Okay, and if I go to here where it says beer and wines, real quick, and I try to double click on it, it'll do nothing. See, it won't let me edit that category anymore. Even if I press edit, I'm editing beer and wine. I'm not editing the child category. So I'd have to go back, remove it from being a child, back to a parent, so I can go and edit it again and put show always. And that's how you go from nested to child categories. So I hope this discussion, remember, you always have to position your categories, whether it's a child category or whether it's a parent category, you have to still position them. So remember, I had to go to show subcategories, and it knows which ones of your categories have children nested in them. So it'll only show you those categories, and then you'll see them here below. You move them onto your buttons, and then press save. I hope this explanation about categories gives you a better idea of how this works. Remember, in the products area, you always have to have a category associated with a product. Okay. Oh, one other thing, if you make a mistake and you put a product underneath a wrong category, all you have to do is bring it back up. Okay, let's get out of here and let's find a category. Let's say we were in the beers and wines. So we go here to the domestic beers, and let's say Budweiser really should have been in the imported beers. I just bring it up. I say category down. I select imported beer instead of domestic, which I know it is a domestic, but okay, just for this example, we're going to make it imported. I press save, and now it's going to be, instead of in the domestic category, okay, let me update my data. Okay, now if I go to my categories here, beer and wine, and instead of probably domestic, nothing's here. But if I press imported, which I do have to position it. I forgot to do that. So just changing it won't do it. I have to go in and position. So let's go here and position, because nothing was previously positioned. So I have to go here now to beers imported, and I've got to put the Budweiser there. So just changing it in the back office from one category to another, I do still have to position it. Now you'll see it in the front of the house here. So I go here to update station data, my quick service, beer and wine, imported. There's my Budweiser. And that's how I moved it from domestic to imported. Everything's category based. Make sure you have your products in the right category. Never put a product in a parent category that has nested categories below it. That is the key. Okay, so you'll never run into that trouble. Thank you very much.